Hello, friends. How is life tonight on the spinning rock treating you? Try this another take here. As my cat just totally fucked up the last one. But anyway, what I want to get into here is well, I just got in from doing some door dashing, and it the DoorDash is a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. Change is a game changer, especially with me with a special needs son. I'm able to go out there and get what money I can when I can. But after doing, just some simple research and finding out, that DoorDash contributes, over $800,000. I think it was $803,000 or something. Just on one search, I found that they donate to the Democratic Party, and I don't ever want this show to be about some big political thing, but why? Why would they do that? Let me think. Well, did you ever go to a restaurant and all you see is this? Just the door dashers keep coming in and they just keep doing that. Because why? They don't speak a lick of English. And I'm not going to get into some big immigration thing, but it don't take a rocket scientist to figure out, well, why do these door dashes, they just keep giving you horrible shit? Because somebody's taking that horrible shit. And who's taking that horrible shit are people that are not supposed to legally be working here anyway. And I do have a problem with that. Let's keep things fair, and I've done both platforms, and one platform is, I'll give it to Uber. I mean, they're really good at their security and being on top of that. And the other one seems to me to go out of the way to make sure their security sucks so that it's easy to work the system and basically steal money from other people who are legally supposed to be working here. I do think that the DoorDash and everything is an incredible game changer. It's a gift for us because I no longer have that fire-breathing monster dragon over top of my shoulder while I'm trying to take care of my family. I can focus on taking care of my family with what little... Let's put it this way. I make less now than I've made in 10 years. I'm better off now mentally than I've ever been. Our rent is higher than it's ever been. And it's a struggle every day to survive, but I'm happier than I've ever been because of my mindset. Your mindset is so important. I hate seeing these things. Like, I've seen a lot of these things lately with young people who, there's probably words that you're not supposed to say on here, whatever. So let's just say, checking out of the game sort of thing. And that just breaks my heart because I don't feel that there's people telling these young people that it is normal to not feel like you're the king of the hill in high school and grammar school or grade school or whatever. It's normal to feel that way. Nobody tells you along that process that it's normal to feel that way and that things are going to get better. They can get so much better, but finding yourself first, you got to find yourself first and figure out who you are. And people will love you for that when you become individual by nature. Don't try to be something you're not. It's disgusting to me when I see like them, fake gold digger type videos. Like, that is such a gross way to and it's so clear that they buy views too. Like, that's disgusting in itself. But, breeding these people to think that these type of videos and this type of way to go through life is normal is just so gross. And whoever you are, there's one kid I see in particular that does it a lot, and it's really just vile and disgusting, man. It's about as gross as the video I seen of the women outside the Capitol building. 1 minute she dressed up like a Statue of Liberty, and the next second she looks like Cruella de Vil or whatever, and just screaming fascist and Nazi and everything just because somebody has a different view than you. It's sickening, man. I just don't get it. Like, that, you're going to go home, you're going to sip your Pinot Grigio, and you're going to plot tomorrow, like what's tomorrow? What kind of vile thing do you want to do tomorrow? It just makes me sick, man. It really makes me sick. But when you okay, where were you the moment that you realized like you've been lied to for 80 fucking years? For me, the moment I realized that this world isn't what we think it is, probably the biggest thing for me was the Commander Graver testimony about seeing the Tic Tac. That to me was like, sometimes you just have that moment where you're like, dude, that guy right there is not talking bullshit. That is 100% real. What that guy is saying, like, you're no BS. Maybe it's just from like years of me dealing with these asshole cops that would come to the door, and I've seen every little trick in the book as far as nice guy, good guy, bad guy, all that sort of stuff. Every trick to get it out of you, man. I remember one time, even inside, I was like, I ain't giving shit up, but I had the feeling, and like I was like, man, this guy's pretty good. He's doing good right here. And I started leaning into like, maybe I would talk to this guy in my head. I was thinking for a second. But then luckily enough, his asshole partner kicked in with the super bad guy, I'm tough guy attitude and talk. And that just shut me right down again. Hey, and speaking of Uber and DoorDash, I said, if that had been around when I was getting high, I wouldn't have committed any crimes and I wouldn't have a record at all. And really, like, who is really at fault for my record? Well, obviously, me for any sort of criminal act that I would do. But really deep down underneath, who is responsible for me having the marks on my record? I would say the pharmaceutical company. I would say the people that created OxyContin is the reason that my trajectory in life was completely halted. He didn't even get a chance to think about what I wanted to do. When I was growing up, I was just like, I think one of the first people in my family to even graduate high school. I have a real, everything is work, 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 work. When I was growing up, always taught to keep grinding and keep hustling and basically work yourself into a grave. My poor father has dementia now. And he worked every fucking day of his life. And I mean every day. This man never called out. I never once seen this man. One time when he had to tell me my dog died was the only time I seen this man shed a tear. My father could make it through anything. Tough as nails. He was really dealt pretty rough hand. And then, that trickles down to us. But I feel like my whatever I was going to be or could have been or possibly something bigger was cut off because of the pharmaceutical company and the manufacturing of OxyContin. And it, for me, is a pretty simple start process. It was the wisdom teeth, I think, was the big thing. And that just, as soon as I tried them suckers, it was off to the races for 20 fucking years. 20 years. It wasn't, for me, a long time, it was the OxyContin was the king for, I'd say, like 8 years. I used to go down, I remember, by like Temple, and there was an area down there. That's when I first started going into the city to get drugs and started down there. And then I remember, that's the thing. The memory is so hard. That's why you're going to work with me if you do come to my channel for any reason, or if you're into any of these sort of stories. Well, work with me. Let's work together. Let's try to figure out how to get it out of this brain, because this brain is fucked up. Okay. This brain has been through the rodeo, 1,000,000 miles on the road and 1,000,000 bags. Let's just say. All right. Yeah, probably a lot of drugs. You find in rehabs that actually turned out that the women would get more drugs than the men because they were much more skilled in that department. Of all of ours was petty theft, and petty theft only gets you so far in the drug game. And I will say I kept my principles solid on that. There was never a thought of anything else to get money. Not that anybody's looking for that from me, but I stayed anyway. So let's say, like I said, let's try to see if we can work out some of these stories and try to remember some of this stuff. I do know it happened for me was after a 5-year breakup of a relationship. I was very in a not good place. And that's when I first drove down to Kensington with a buddy, and that's when I started buying heroin. And that was like unbelievable, cheaper, better for your liver. Whatever reason you can come up with to why it's okay to switch over to heroin, which it's not in any means, and it's not fun, and it's a miserable thing to constantly be sick and to constantly have to figure out how you're not going to have the flu. Yeah, that sucks every day. And it's a long, long process that eventually I just was like, I could barely even fight that fight anymore. I had been doing it so long and trying for so long. But I started going down Kensington after a bad breakup. And I remember it got so bad down there for a while that you couldn't even drive your car in because the Uber and DoorDash thing just didn't exist then. So a lot of times what I would do, because I got pulled over so many goddamn times and gave so many fake bullshit stories that I wasn't even believing my own stories anymore. So I got to a point where I started parking and going in on foot. I found that to be easier, more dangerous, because of the situations you get yourself in, because you end up parking about a mile or 2 miles away or something and walking in on foot. And, could they clean up the area better? I don't know, man. It employs a lot of people. That's what I always think to myself. Why is Kensington so bad? Oh, because it employs a whole hell of a lot of people. And do they really want to take away all those jobs? Well, why not? Everybody else is losing their fucking job. Why don't you clean up the city while you're at it if you really want to? It's the legitimate open air drug market. You don't see nothing else like it. That's why I would be 500 miles away coming out of Florida, thinking, oh man, 8 hours at the bottom of this thing. I finally get back to Philadelphia and I can finally, score. And there was times I am driving an 18-wheeler, into the city, disconnecting my trailer, and then going into the heart of Kensington in what you would consider the worst areas. Now, as a truck driver who's driven across the country and would get to these things and literally Google what is the worst area in this town and go there, because that's what you do as a drug addict. You're just looking. And I've got myself into a lot of bad situations that way. I scored a lot of times, but it's what you do. It's what I had always done. Disconnect the trailer and go into whatever bad part of the city. And, a lot of times they say, well, the guy's driving a rig, so, he's probably not a cop. But there was plenty of times where they thought I was. And that would also, a lot of times, would depend on how bad I was in my addiction. So if I was coming off of a rehab stint or something like that, that was even harder to score because you put on weight. And that's like the biggest indicator to these guys that whether you're using or not, or you have the marks going up and down your arms or whatever to show that. Oh man. And so I would park on foot and I'd walk in and it really is like in the city. I saw something the other day that said the city is so much less kind to people, and that is just so true. It's dog eat dog when you get down there, and on a hot summer day you're just looking to score, and you're unfortunately sometimes you're literally like stepping over these people. Or I'm sure everyone's seen the videos of what goes on down there. And then, I remember when I first started going down, there was like the good side of the tracks and the bad side of the tracks. And the bad side of the tracks wasn't as in bad, like something horrible might happen to you, which it might, but it was bad business. Bad business on one side of the tracks, good business on the other side of the tracks. And when I started going down with the bad business, I never forget. I was like probably in the middle there somewhere, just learning about all this stuff. And I go to buy off this kid. I can't remember if it was it was probably like 11 o'clock in the morning or something. So I go down to this one street and I see a kid that I've seen a couple times and get my stuff. And I drive off and I start making my way back towards the highway. And I just see this white van. and it just completely cuts in front of me, cuts me off, and forces me into a dead stop. And the next thing I know, 3 men have gotten me out of this truck, out of my little blue pickup truck, threw my stuff every which way, left my door wide open, threw zip ties on the back of my hands, threw me in a van, and whew, we were off. Now I'm saying to myself, what in the fuck is happening to me here, and what is the situation I'm in? And I'm thinking to myself, man, who are these people? What's going on? And then I hear a radio. So now I know it's the police department of some sort. And they just yell back to me to shut the fuck up. Don't say nothing. Don't talk. They radio into their boss that they're on lunch break or something, and they're in the middle of working something, but they don't want them to know, for whatever reason, they don't want them to know that they have me in this van. So they're driving around and they're like forcing me, like telling me, you better give me that fucking information. I want that guy's number. I want to know everything about blah, 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 blah. And like, that's the thing, dude. There's no, everybody knows it's just business down there is on foot. It's an open air drug market. So I don't have no answer to what this guy's phone number is. I don't know. So I start thinking to myself, well, how the fuck can I get out of this situation? So I remember one time I was on foot, and these guys at this one house were like complete dicks to me, and were just, they acted like they were better than everybody, and just because you're in control of this product or whatever. So I remember that the bags they gave me were cold, like ice cold. So I told one of the officers, I said, listen, this is all I got. I said, you drive down that street, drive down that street over there. And I said, look, somewhere in those projects over there, they're keeping dope cold. That's all I can tell you. So they took that information and they drove me back over to the other side of Kensington. And they opened a van and they cut the zip ties. And I'm standing in front of my truck and they throw the drugs at me that I had just bought. And I remember my face lighting up like a Christmas tree, like, whoa, dude, I get my drugs back? Like, that's what I was most excited about, that I was going to get my drugs back. And they're like, yeah, well, what are we going to do with them, you fucking junkie? We got nothing to do with that. And then off they went. And I remember when I got back in my truck, the needle that I had still sitting on the roof with my door still open, back in my truck, and I drive off. And that was just one exchange. I don't know whatever happened from that or whatever was done, but you damn bet you're gonna do what you can to get out of these fucked up situations. Until you find yourself in a fucked up situation like that, like finding yourself in one of these alleys at 2:00 in the morning. I remember one time this guy had this fucking look. He was grilling me so hard at 2 a.m. that I just kept thinking to myself, like, dude, this right here, I thought this guy might just beat the shit out of me or take it, or he's going to pull a gun, or he thinks I'm a cop, whatever. And the whole transaction, he just staring me so hard. And the transaction still went fine. So, that's just another little example of how crazy it is down there, especially when the heat's on. It is the concrete jungle. The concrete jungle down there is insane. And the levels of the things and the people go to down there to secure drugs, just unbelievable. Like the amount of scheming and work that we had to put into to secure our drugs back then was just something else. I had my best friend who I met in a rehab. His name was Josh, and it's tough, man, because Josh died 3 times on me. And every one of those 3 times, I saved him. Every single one of them times, I was able to either start some CPR myself or get him. I got him. I remember I pulled my car around the corner and I just got out of this little piece of shit car I had. I picked him up in my hands and I dropped him on the concrete right there, laid him flat, and I zipped my car around the corner, and then I ran back on foot the whole time I was calling 911 and get him medical attention. The ambulance shows up, they Narcan him, They get him back, and this lady's like, man, did you see that fucking car that dropped him off? And I'm just like, yeah, man, fuck that piece of shit, that guy. And I remember I had a little teal car, and she was like, yeah, I think it was a purple car. And I was like, yeah, it was definitely fucking purple, that car. And you should fucking tell these people that that's what that was. That's what you should do. So, I saved Josh then and saved him multiple times. Josh was, for whatever reason, Josh used to fall out easy. And one of the worst things I deal with in life is Josh fell out a fourth time. And I was not with Josh when Josh fell the fourth time. And Josh did not make it. I miss him every day. One of those people that you meet in a rehab that just changes your fucking life and is just a good fucking solid guy. Good human. Funny as shit, man. But I remember Josh was working this scheme, and I remember being like, dude, that's the scheme of schemes. So what they would do is his girl was working for a company that sold hair extensions, and they would get, these, ask your girl, the hair extensions apparently are worth like a lot of money. Like I think he said it was like $3,000 like for a box of these certain extensions. So the company would ship these out to you in like, 2-3 days, something like that. Well, Josh offered rush delivery. Well, rush delivery didn't fucking exist. Josh didn't even work for the company, but his girl did. And these hair extensions were selling a man that Josh would put on a uniform for the company, and he would go and they would offload boxes out of the back of the warehouse, and Josh would put the uniform on and he would deliver these hair extensions. And I'm talking like, I think they did the number, it was something like $60,000 or something. And the reason that their scam got blown up was because his girl called out sick one day, and somebody called and they wanted that rush delivery real bad. And somebody working there was like, we don't offer no rush delivery. She's like, oh, sure. The big, the bearded guy that comes, not this bearded guy, it was a different bearded guy, but the bearded guy that comes, and he always brings us our stuff. I don't understand. Well, Josh then checked into rehab and was on the run from that situation. And I don't think Josh ever had to pay for that situation. Reason I think about that is because I had to pay for a situation also for Josh one time, involved in a theft. And these were people that were from my area. And, I found out and got their stuff back, and they reported it. And I was, I took the hit on it. So that's what I got for trying to do the right thing in that situation. But it don't matter, because when I was sitting in jail, I may have been sitting there on that, but I knew damn well there was 100 other things that I should be sitting in there for. So never once, one moment was I mad at Josh over it. And people who do that, that's just silly. Why would you get mad when you're in the hustle and the grind every fucking day? You're doing dirt in the street. Stop acting like you're not. So there's just like a little bit, some stories that are just sitting in my head that I sort of wanted to get out there. So the next thing, like, you want to cover a little bit here, let's go a little conspiracy level on you. So there's a new documentary coming out on the 9th, and it's my favorite topic, baby. The only topic that we should be talking about on a normal basis is the existence of life beyond our own. And it's very clear that the main statement they're putting out is that they're not human. Okay, like, I don't know what's going to take you to wake up. Like I said, my thing was the Commander Graver Tic Tac testimony. That was right there. That was when I knew. I was like, holy shit, that this is real. And what is the point of the existence of 80 years of us being fucking lied to and told every day to get up, go to school, and, most people go to college and get a job and then kick on and not have the interest in what are we? where are we going? What is our future? Where do we really come from? I'm not going to get into, is religion a side op? Who knows? I don't like to talk religion with a lot of people. I struggle with my own beliefs on these sort of things. But the first statement just is that they're not human. The second statement, the big news coming out of it so far already, is that these countries are in a race for this technology. And I'm like, well, I guess it's all the down crash retrieval stuff that has put you in that position. But even the sitting president is not allowed to know about this sort of stuff. Who really knows about it are these mass weapons generators, the same people that are putting the mass weapons in Alaska. And these directed energy weapons and all that sort of stuff is the Lockheed Martins of the world and the few of the other ones, and then whoever their boss is. And I do feel that there is a change and a shift. And part of that shift is these men that have been keeping this secret for so fucking long are very fucking old. And they're having their own dilemmas and doubts. And we have a lot of people that are supposed whistleblowers, but somebody made a great point that a true whistleblower, there's no fucking restrictions. It's just the same shit as the 1% allowed to know fucking everything, and we're treated like mushrooms and fed shit and kept in the dark. And it's just a bunch of bullshit. Like, we're never allowed to know our own existence. And how long are you going to hold it back from real discoveries, that medical discoveries even, that could change the fate of everything? But you sit on it because you love to tell us in one hand that we're trillions of dollars in debt, and so much freaking debt. And then on the other hand, you're telling us the stock market this week is flourishing like it's never flourished before. Who gives a shit? I fucking hate money. Money is fucking evil. It is the most evil fucking thing. And I have it drives me insane. I have a mother who suffers from bipolar, and one of the things that she'll love to do to me is tell me that like I have some sort of obsession with money. And it makes me sick because I fucking hate money. I hate what it does to people. I hate what it is. I don't even think that's the way we were meant to be in society, but whatever it is, and people are just the sickening levels of grossness that people will go to, and the obsession for money, when the only thing that matters is love. Love is the only thing that sustains us and also separates us from a lot of the other animals out there. And I don't know about you, but that to me is the only thing that as I get older that I realize, and I look at my son at night when he's sleeping, and I'm just so thankful for his existence. Oh, sorry, I was just interrupted by my freaking cat knocking on the door. I thought my son had woken up and needed me, but he's still pissed out. So, but speaking of my son, now I was just talking about money is evil, and it really is. It's disgusting, and we can go into that anytime. I also want to talk about the look, right? As a father with an autistic child, nonverbal, the struggles can be vast and challenging. And there's this look that you get in the store, and it's a two-sided look. There's the look of oh man, how can you not be more understanding of him right now and what he's going through? And I just want to be like, shut the fuck. You have no idea what my level of understanding is, and the level of care and empathy that I put into this thing. And if I'm right now having a little bit of a fucking breakdown, that's because you don't know my actual walk and how fucking deep through the shit I pushed to be here, to stand here, to get him to where he's at right now. So just keep to your fucking self, And then the other side of the look is, I'll give you more of an example on this one. Like, we went to Dave and Buster's the other day, and Trace is like running full steam, and he runs right into this kid who's probably like 13, 14. And I watched the kid, and he's sort of just staring him down almost in anger. And I just walk up to the kid and I said, listen, buddy. I said, listen, he's got autism. He doesn't He's not purposely trying to run into you and hurt you in any way. He's just a nut and he's wild and he's running free. And I watched the kid completely change what he was thinking. And it's just fucking sad. It's like, well, what do I got to do? I got to put a fucking shirt and an identity fucking collar on him for you to know that. But I don't want to do that because I don't want to pinpoint him out to sicko weirdos that are in this world. That's the last thing I want to do. Oh, man. I wanted to give a shout out to, I guess he's an actor or something, but George Pogastisia. I don't know, Patagia, some shit, some Italian fucking shit. He stopped a abduction the other day. I read the story about him stopping this abduction and saving this girl after a bar. And also props to his fucking wife, who she was the first one who noticed some shit was off. And he chased this people down on foot and managed to stay on the call with 911 the whole time and stop this girl from being abducted and put into God knows human trafficking or something like that. So absolute fucking shout out to him. That's a boss fucking move right there. I don't know what his acting career is or whatever, but that's a boss fucking move. And I got two other quick shout outs I want to give, man. Fat Joe. Obviously everybody knows who Fat Joe is, but he has a son that has autism, and he talked about how he was walking around with this tennis ball all the time, and you see his kid, he's always got this tennis ball, and I just get that there's things in their lives that they hold on to with such they don't want to lose it for whatever. I had to get my old car towed out of here the other day, and just Trace happened to see it. I was trying to not have him see it, but he saw it out the back window, and he had a breakdown over that because it's like giving up one of his items. Oh man, when we had to move, it was brutal. Like, I'm talking like a couple days in a row, stood at the door with his backpack on, and it just breaks your heart. And that's what, like, a lot of my other senses in life have gotten a lot stronger because everything with me and him is a feel. I gotta be constantly in tune with his needs. Maybe it's not the best thing ever because he sure can take advantage of his old man that way. But I mean, he's my miracle kid, man. It was a 50-50 shot. He pulled through. We lived at that Ronald McDonald house, and if it wasn't for him, there's no doubt that I would have met the same fate that my buddy Josh, rest in peace, met. Oh, the last shout out I wanted to give was Colin Farrell, because he also does incredible work with letting people know how hard these situations can be. And I had a future time machine move the other day that just fucking can suck. I don't know if anyone's ever had this, but I'm scrolling through something and I see a video of a guy who is like exactly like me in a lot of ways. Actually looked a lot like my old man, and he's like in the exact same path that I'm in, but he's like 20 years in the future. And I see him with his older kid, and they're walking into the store, and man, I damn near broke down right there. That's the difference between me and my old man. My old man's stoic, he come from that rough generation. I know his old man was hard on him. And there's been a lot of issues caused in my own family. Like, I got an older brother who's fucking hard ass and, dinner beat me down half the time in life, beat the shit out of me and was rough on me. And we've never had a good relationship to the point where he's never even seen my son. My son's going to be 9. He's never physically seen my son. So our relationship is not good. And that's okay, because I don't feel like you should spend your life chasing the would've, could've, and should've. That's not what it is. I think you decide your love, you spread your love how you want, and hopefully it reciprocates along the same path. And that's what I like. Make your own relationships. I have some of the best relationships with people that are not in any relation to me. I have a guy that I call an uncle my whole life that wasn't an uncle. I had a neighbor who was like an aunt to me, who wasn't a neighbor. And these are some of the people that help mold me in life. So form your own bonds, form your own paths. And I can't stress this enough anymore. It's like when I'm waking up, not only from the Commander Graver thing, but the stop letting these monsters in positions of power secure their next year Mercedes on your hard sweat and your hard work when you can barely afford to take care of your family. And also we have to look at how many things we're buying and stop with the chain. The chains they use to hold you down are these little achievements. It's like the girls I see selling these skincare things or these ridiculous scheme things that are designed to give you, you want a little trophy here, or you're pointed out as the salesman of your area right there in that time. These are all little fucking chains in the link to keep you where they want you. Don't do that no more. Don't. I'm sorry, that's twice now. This fucking cat is driving me insane, clawing at this fucking door. But don't let these chains hold you in these positions any longer. We need to find out our futures. We need to fight for our future. We need to find out where we come from. All these important questions are asked. And stop letting the 1%, and if it's the 1% of money or the 1% that signs these NDAs that don't tell us the fucking truth of what's really out there. Because we need to know, man. These are the most important questions in life, and whatever reason people are obsessed with the fucking Epstein list. Like, okay, here, I'll give you the answer. Do you want to know if these old men were into banging these young chicks? Here's the answer. Yes. Okay, now can we move on? Can we go to the questions that really matter? Since time immemorial, men have wanted to sleep with women. Believe it or not, that this is happening, and hopefully the age thing checks out. I can't be sure of that. It might not. I don't know. But that is not the most important fucking question. The most important question is, are there life besides us? That is the only thing that matters, man. That's what I consume my time with, because I want to know. I want to know the greater things. I want to know the technologies that they're keeping away from us. That's why China is leaps and bounds ahead of us in this life, because they're not bogged down by red tape and bullshit saying they can't do this and you can't do that. They just fucking do. And they're ahead of us on almost every level, depending on what technologies we found. But it's a race in this time. They're racing to always stay to be the world's superpower because you have the technology that you're keeping from all of us. And it's just, I just want a kinder, more gentler world for my son to grow up in. That's what I really want. But we have to start with the answers first. We have to actually know what the fuck's going on. Stop with the 80-year lies of bullshit and constant telling you have to be this way or telling you have to be that way. And the obsession with money. Fucking money is just disgusting, and it's really is a root of all evil. And the devil probably created the money because it's all you drive on, it's all you think about, and it's all you hold your class in, or who can be on your block or who's not on your fucking block. I don't give a shit. Fucking hate money. Oh man. But that's not really, saying that much hate, that's not really going to be the way that we drive the kinder, more gentler world that I want. But and I see this with a lot of my friends and people that are the same age as me. I see the anger this day and age, and that's where I thank my son so much, because he really made me a kinder, more gentler person. Unlike my old man, like for 8 years straight, I just grinded head down and made that check every single week to make sure we put food on the table, because that's what my old man always did. But I have to change the nuances in my setup because it's not the same thing. I have to be more understanding, willing, and be more present. And that can be the hardest thing sometimes, is just getting up to be present, especially when you're almost like afraid to walk out the door. Like, here's a guy who was not afraid to shoot dope and literally was probably on the brink of suicide and collapse and just didn't care and was a trash can for drugs. He saved me. in that essence, man. I mean, he just absolutely saved me from that. So I owe him. And I was always told I have a very loud voice, or my grandmother used to say, I don't know anybody who talks faster than you. Well, I'm going to try to use that for something else now. I'm going to try to use that to push a message of caring, understanding, and finding your purpose and helping somebody not go down the same path that I went down. Most importantly. Like I said, well, we'll get into more stories. I got a million more stories like that we'll get into and go over and that sort of stuff. I just would, I want to hear from some people maybe that have found themselves in a similar rough situation, or maybe you're in that situation right now and you just need somebody to listen to or talk to you and tell you it's going to be okay, because it's going to be okay, man. It's okay not to be the prom queen. It's okay not to be the prom king. It's okay. There's other things in life, other avenues, other things that you can fill your time with, and finding something like, I struggle still to this day with gambling, because it's an escape, and we all are looking for an escape. But maybe that's not the answer to how we find the truth and the humanity. Is we have to dig in and do the work. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep pushing my head forward, and I'm going to keep trying. And that's all I got for right now. Please, if you like this video, if you somehow hung on to this long, let me know, man. Tell me something. Tell me that I lit something in you. That's what I'd like to. I would like to hear you tell me that you like what I just put in you, baby. That's what I would like to hear. If not, whatever. Keep rocking on this spinning planet. We'll keep rocking on the spinning rock until we can figure this whole thing out. That's all I got for tonight. Anyway, Birds had a big win this week. Go Birds, baby.